When I tell some people I'm a cyclist, I love to watch their expression change. I can almost smell burning plastic and hear the cogs going round in their heads. Yeah, but he's fat. Unfortunately for me, on this point I can't really argue anything to the contrary. I am indeed fat, heavy, overweight,
Chunky monkey.
Alright, whatever you want to call it, but I will argue until the cows come home that being heavy doesn't necessarily mean that I can't ride a bike. Okay, so I might not be lightning fast on the flats and I'm especially slow on the climbs, but being a cyclist isn't just about being super quick or even getting PRs up mountains. At its most basic, I would say that it's about getting your arse, regardless of how big or small it is, on a bike and actually riding it. Now of course, health issues, diet advice and aesthetics aside, one of the main things you can do to improve your cycling is to lose a few kilos, either from you or the bike itself, in order to increase the overall power to weight ratio. If you don't know what this is, it's one of the most basic calculations used in cycling. You take your average power in watts and divide that by the combined weight of you and your bike to come up with a watts per kilo number. So for example, if your average functional threshold power is 200 watts and you and your bike weigh 100 kilos, that will give you a power to weight ratio of 2 watts per kilo. Nowadays, you can measure your power in many ways. One of the most accurate is to install a set of power cranks to your bike, or even let apps like Strava and Zwift estimate it for you. The power to weight ratio explains how being heavy doesn't always mean that you're going to be slow. Let's for one moment imagine that you have two riders. One weighs 100 kilos and the other weighs 90 kilos. You'd be forgiven for thinking that rider 2 would be the faster. However, the first rider's average FTP is 250 watts and rider 2's is only 175 watts, which means rider 1 has a power to weight ratio of 2.5 watts per kilo, while rider 2's is only 1.9 watts per kilo. This means that although rider 1 is heavier, he should in theory be faster than rider 2 up any given climb. Now there isn't a cyclist alive that wouldn't like to be faster or lighter or both, but for some this can really go to extremes. Many people's first knee-jerk reaction is to buy the lightest bike possible and then upgrade it with a super light set of wheels, a carbon seat post, carbon stem, carbon handlebars, titanium seat rails, titanium pedals, a chain made from a spider's web, handlebar tape made from children's tears. Yeah, I'm sure you get the picture. We all know someone like that. Now, having the lightest this, that or the other component on your bike is all fine and dandy, but at its best it might only save you a couple of kilos. Shaving weight off the bike is probably the best way to go if A, you're super slim to begin with, and B, have plenty of money. For us normal people, getting rid of the old middle-age spread is by far and away the best option. For starters, potentially you can lose much more weight than any component upgrade will ever give you. Secondly, it won't cost you anything. And finally, as a bonus, your general health will also improve. So how much weight do you need to lose, either from you or the bike, to see any improvements in speed? Well, to answer that question, I did a semi-scientific test a couple of years ago. I got one of my cycling chums to ride up the same climb 3 times with various weights, and the results were very revealing. If you'd like to see that film in its entirety, I'll include a link in the description below. But to summarise, based on our test, we found that if the weight was increased by say 10%, he needed approximately 10% longer to complete the same ride while maintaining the same power, or 10% more power to complete it in the same time. If I put that into context, one of the biggest weight saving upgrades you can make to any bike is to invest in a new set of super light wheels. At best, these might only save you around 1% of your overall weight, whereas losing weight off the body might give a 2% reduction every week for several weeks. Being a heavier rider myself, I personally feel there's no point in me or someone like me investing in expensive upgrades. We all want our bikes to look nice and ride well, but going beyond that is potentially just a waste of money. Thanks for watching.